The Sundance Short Film Grand Jury Prize goes to Thunder Road, directed by Jim Cummings.
Editing is directing in many ways.
Go make movies, you can do it yourself. Don't listen to anybody that says that you can't.
700 people saw The Last Brunch in the first 10 minutes of it being on the internet. It is a different marketplace now.
I've been someone who only talked about making movies for years, and I never did anything about this. And the person who's responsible in a way for changing that mindset for me is Jim Cummings and what he has done with Thunder Road and all of his other films. And I've been fortunate enough to talk to him twice. What you're about to watch is my second conversation with him a few months ago. Enjoy. You got married?
Got married, got a house, got in trouble, made a Marvel short, all kinds of stuff. It's been a lot of growth in the last few years since we spoke.
Starring in Barry as well, which I haven't seen yet.
I won't spoil it. I'm in the last 5 minutes. I am the last 5 minutes of the show. So yeah, no spoilers.
The most important minutes, arguably.
People were like, do you kill Barry? And I was like, kind of. Yeah, sure. I mean, I ruined the show. So yeah, definitely kill Barry.
I have a bunch of very selfish questions that I will start with. I'm wondering about releasing a short film online. You've done it a few times already. It will be my first time. And I'm curious about your strategies around that. For example, The Last Brunch. You pretty much released it right after South by Southwest, right? You didn't wait. So question number one, I guess, is did you even submit it to other festivals? And secondly, do you recommend this strategy to smaller filmmakers?
I've done this a couple of times. I started out in shorts. I did releases for short films online for many years before these last two. We have usually exclusively submitted them to festivals and then gone out with them for a year to show off the movie for a full year to different festivals. And then when it stops playing, we'll put it online or you submit it to Short of the Week or the Vimeo staff picks and say, hey, would you guys want to consider it? Those are kind of the largest outlets for viewership in the United States. That has always been our protocol. And then I made these two short films where I didn't even think that they would play at film festivals. And so we were very lucky to get into South by Southwest and Tribeca. And so by premiering at both of those festivals for two separate shorts, I was like, let's just put them out. This is the biggest festivals that they'll probably play at. Let's just go for it. I have no intention of traveling another year for a short film because I'm busy doing other stuff. Would that I could, but at this point of my career, I kind of have to, if I take a year off traveling with a short, nobody at the company works. It's just, I have to drive the ship. We looked at what A24 was doing, where A24 would do release at a festival. They would do a premiere at a festival, and then 2 weeks later it would come out in movie theaters when it was still kind of top of mind for people. And so I was like, all right, well, why don't we just try that with shorts? So I've been doing that lately, where we'll submit and get rejected from all of the big film festivals. And then when one of them says, yes, this will be the world premiere, basically after the world premiere, I'm like, let's just get it out to the people as quickly as possible. Looking at something like The Last Brunch, our short that was at South by Southwest, the movie theater was about 300 people, 400 people, something like that. And throughout its screenings at the festival, probably 600, 700 people saw the short in the program. And 700 people saw The Last Brunch in the first 10 minutes of it being on the internet.
Yeah.
So it is a different marketplace now. And then with the Marvel short, so we put out the Brunch short and there's hardcore pornography in it. It's a very funny short film, but it's unavoidable. It's difficult to have it on the internet, unless it's on a porn website or something. And so we put it onto Vimeo and YouTube. And Vimeo restricts it because it has, nudity in it. And because of that, you're not able to watch the film unless you have a Vimeo account. So that was throttling the viewership of the short film. So as of now, on Vimeo, it only has about 23,000 views, despite the fact that it is a staff-picked film. So then I was thinking, well, the Marvel short has a sex scene in it. If we end up putting it onto Vimeo, it might get throttled that way. I'm just going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to see what we can do on social media. And so I posted it on Twitter, and it's gotten more than 400,000 views just on my Twitter account. And then I put it on YouTube and Vimeo slightly after. and that viewership has been good too. I mean, YouTube is great if you can figure it out. I haven't really cracked the code on YouTube, but like I knew that this short film was going to do well on social media because that was where we saw the majority of the conversation about Marvel and Disney and Martin Scorsese. So I was like, all right, let's just put it on Twitter. Who cares? Like maybe people will like it, maybe people will hate it, but at least people will see it.
Okay, so that's the reason why you didn't do another Vimeo staff pick.
I mean, really, we submitted the Marvel short to like every conventional platform that we would have put it out with and dreamed to put it out with, and everybody was like, no thanks on this one. Thank you very much. We can't."
Too much.
It's too much. And also it's a difficult thing. I say Taiwan is a country in the film. There were two really great queer actors who felt uncomfortable saying it. So I felt the need to act in it because they didn't want to say Taiwan is a country, or that Disney can't say that Taiwan is a country because of China. There's a lot of stuff in it that is third rail comedy. So I understood anytime somebody's like, yeah, no, I can't take that risk. It's fucking Charlie Hebdo. It's like, anytime you're doing something that's third rail comedy, some people back out who you love, and that's normal. I literally don't blame anybody. But because of that, it was kind of the necessity to put it on to Twitter and social media, just because it was the only way that we could get people to see it.
Okay, fair enough. When it comes to Vimeo staff picks, like, do you have any like secret sauce? Any advice for applying to it?
So I have known the Vimeo staff for 11 years now or something like that. When I was a producer, we would make these hand-drawn animations, and they were huge champions of ours. So Danny Madden, my good buddy, made a short film called Notes on Biology. It was the first thing of like anybody of our friends that had ever gotten staff picked. The staff reached out. They were like, hey, if you're ever in New York, come and visit the office. So we like got to go into the IAC building and have like a Polaroid in the Vimeo offices. Sure, it's a humiliating picture. I probably look like a child in that photograph. But I've known them for a long time. And so now when we're planning on releasing something on Vimeo, I'll say, hey, and I'll just email them. But then they're also on Instagram and Twitter. So you can just like hit them up and say, hey, I have something that I would love for you to consider. And then I think there's a functionality through Film Freeway at the very least to submit to Short of the Week, where you can submit to it like it's a festival. But really, viewership-wise, I've seen a decline on Vimeo staff picks since the beginning of the pandemic for some reason, whereas like getting staff picked would usually ensure, 500,000 people would see it or something. And now it's like, 23,000 or something like that. I'm not sure why.
YouTube Shorts and TikTok?
Yeah, I think it's TikTok. I think it actually is TikTok. I think so. But really, honestly, like we were doing a short film called Parent Teacher that we released. It didn't get staff picked. It was on the internet for several months. And my producer, Ben Wiesner, found a Facebook group called Bored Teachers that had 1 million followers. And he messaged the group being like, hey, I think you guys might like this short film. And they post it like once a month. And it's like the teachers love that short film. And because of that, it has gotten us thousands and thousands of people reaching out and watching it. So it wasn't a conventional release strategy or like one of these big outlets saying, hey, this is a good short. It was my producer hitting up some blog on Facebook. And that was the reason that short kind of blew up.
What do you do to make sure that the release date for online premiere is talked about?
We always try to release on a Monday because that is the beginning of a weekly news cycle. So like it's possible that somebody doesn't see the film for a few days that is with an entertainment outlet, but then they can still talk about it that week and you're not cut off by the weekend. So we usually release our short films on like a Monday or Tuesday, and that has been helpful. I mean, also there's like websites. There's a website that will tell you when the best time to post on Reddit is in different subreddits. That's helpful. We just kind of like triangulated when would be best to release something that's a video or like something that would be like an article or something like that. And we usually just go off of that calendar of when is a good time to put something out. But Monday and earlier in the week is usually when we do it.
Okay, you also released a few BTS videos, right?
Yeah.
What's your approach right now? Like with the BTS video, what's the strategy that worked best for you when it comes to that kind of video? And are there any adjustments you would make to it?
Not really. I mean, like with BTS, we try to keep it as like secret as possible until the thing comes out. Like I'll never share something unless I know it's coming out very soon. Yeah, we did the like beta test BTS thing that it was a lot of fun that we did because I had never seen somebody do something like that for filmmakers. It was always like, aren't we cool doing this thing? Instead of being like, here is a field guide as to how you could do it yourself. So we definitely wanted to do that. But really, like, I see too often people making films just so they can have a picture of themselves directing a movie. And I see that I'm allergic to that a bit. So I
Yeah.
try not to have I try not to have any of that stuff out there. Like I don't think there's like so many times I've heard bad advice of people being like, "Oh, you're making a short film. It has to have an Instagram account. Like people have to follow the Instagram account." Like Thunder Road doesn't have an Instagram account. Thunder Road's like a really big short film, and like we didn't do that. It's like it didn't matter. And actually, that kind of separated people from following me. I was like, if I was the writer, director, and actor of that thing, so it was like actually would have prevented a lifetime audience. It would have been people that would have been on this other weird account and have to post to all of them. I don't think that that's a good idea. And I also don't think outside of friends and family that anybody really cares that you're making a short film until it's really good.
And as you said, it's a lifetime audience. I'm one of those people. Like, who knows if I would end up on just landing on some IG account when I watched Thunder Road short film for the first time, that would be run by a producer or someone else, not by you. Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe, I would never find out more about you, right? I wanted to ask you about licensing the explicit content for The Last Branch. Like, how did you do it? How did you license that stuff?
We got onto Pornhub and looked up different porn stars that had the same kind of skin tone and maybe facial structure as Dustin, the actor, because it's supposed to be his sister in the film. So we were like, it was in the office. We were actually just like me and my producer and Dustin.
The attention to detail.
And we were, yeah. But we were like at work, and I was like, yeah, let's get on to Pornhub and like start looking through like amateur couples. And it wasn't very long. We found Haley Rose and Max Fills pretty quickly. And since they've become pretty famous, so like I guess they must have been at least close to the front page of Pornhub, so they were kind of at least notable. But I found them on Instagram and DM'd Haley, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. I'm wondering if we can license some stuff from you. Can I like Venmo you some money? You just have to sign something, say that we can use stuff that's public on your page." And she was like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine. Here's my Venmo, and like I'll sign the thing." So she signed it, and so we had a couple of pictures and some video, and then we comped it onto the phone when she's using it. And then it was only after the short came out that she was like, "Wait a second, I know you. I know your films. Like this is crazy." And her producer and like manager reached out to be like, "This is the coolest thing that has ever happened to any of my clients. That like our film is at South by Southwest." And they love the film. They are like the biggest fucking fans of the film. I think they live in Santa Monica. I gotta hang out with them at some point. But we might be bringing her back in to act in our show. We're trying to do a show right now, and we need a porn star. And I was like, well, I know Haley. She's fucking great. Like she's already been in our stuff. Let's like get her to do it. So yeah, it was weird to be in the office with your coworkers looking at hardcore pornography. But at a certain point with comedy, you're just doing it, and it's like we just got to do it. We got to find something. Let's just do it. We got to find somebody to do it. And that was Haley, and she was great.
Okay, but she realized that she knows you after seeing the short.
Yeah,
Seriously.
well, it was like, and then her manager was like, "This is the dude who made Thunder Road and Wolf of Snow Island and all this stuff." She's like, "Oh fuck, okay, cool." I mean, she must get bombarded by weird dudes all the time in DM. I'm not,
Okay, so you didn't
I'm
stood
sure I'm
out
not
of the
the
crowd.
No. I tried blended right in. The GR, whatever. Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, so about is now a good time. Where did the original idea come from?
So they do that. They send out people to show movies to the dying. In fact, I heard yesterday, I heard this from a trusted source. I'm not sure if this is true. They were screening a copy of Moana 2, someone from Disney, and the person who requested it died when they're showing the film. So like this happens a decent amount. They don't die in the middle of the movie like they do in our film. But they will send out somebody with a laptop or a screening ability and show it off to someone who has requested it as part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation or as a dying request. They did it for one of the Thor movies. It was like a GoFundMe kind of thing or a petition. And then Chris Hemsworth saw it. It was an Australian man in his 30s, and he saw the film and then died shortly after, a few weeks later, a month later, something like that. Mm-hmm. So they do this. And I would see it pop up in articles on Reddit being like, this is crazy that they do this. But then the comments were like, what a beautiful multi-billion-dollar corporation. Isn't that a lovely thing that they do for these people? And, I feel conflicted about it, where I'm like, if somebody wanted to see my new movie, would I do it? I don't know. Like, I don't know. But it's funny to me that it's Thor 2 that they're showing off. That is the comedy of the thing. And I was like, well, what does that actually look like? When I was doing the Thunder Road short, it's like, I've seen like the best man speech go awry, but I haven't seen somebody delivering a eulogy and it, nosediving. So I was like, what does that actually look like when someone's singing a song at a funeral? It's not going to sound good. It's not going to look good. So I thought about it and I was like, what are these screenings like? Is it in hospice? Is somebody connected to all these things and they're watching this terrible fucking movie and that they're a fan of and laughing and getting the jokes and seeing the cameos and be like, oh, great, this is great. Like, it felt like a South Park episode. It felt like something that was, open for ridicule. And also, nobody would make fun of it the way that we did. So I was like, this kind of could be the perfect short for us to do because we are independent. I'm never going to work for Marvel Disney again. Why the fuck isn't anybody doing this? This could be a funny thing. And then, with the Martin, we shot it 2 years ago. The whole like Martin Scorsese anti-Marvel thing happened. And while it was happening, we were writing this thing. And then I pitched it to Steve Coogan and I pitched it to Bill Hader. And they're both like, you've got to do it. This is a really funny idea. You should do it. And then I was like, all right, let's just run a Seed and Spark campaign and see what we can raise to do it. And we raised all the money that we needed. And I was like, oh, fuck, now we're doing it. And then it was a weekend. We shot both short films in 3 days. The house that my boyfriend and I are at is my home. And then at the end of the brunch, it's the same kitchen where Taylor is pouring the tea. And the garage that I'm in is where Bridge is painting. So he's painting in that corner at the end of the last brunch. So we were able to shoot the ending of both short films in the same night with the same crew and the same camera in the same location. So it was like all of that producing for years became how we did that. But no, in Making Is Now a Good Time, I decided to do it because I saw a video on the internet, on YouTube late at night. It was about trash on the top of Everest and trash in the Mariana Trench. So the tallest point of the Earth and the lowest point of the Earth. It's like this footage coming around a cavern in the Mariana Trench, and it's multiple millions of dollars to get a submarine to go down there in this expedition. And it's like a camera and a flashlight, and they're moving around the corners, all this trash. But the first thing that comes up is a metallic balloon of Olaf from the Frozen movies, Josh Gad's character. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, we are never going to get this crap out of our system. Like, this company has spent trillions of dollars to pump this fucking planet and our brains. We're never going to get the trash out of our minds. Like, the termites have spread so deeply into us and the planet. And I was like, it was 2 a.m, and I was like, I should do that short film.
Huh. Okay, thank you for that perspective. Man, I want to talk about your tweets, some of your tweets. I thought this would be fun. Yeah, this would be a fun thing for you to expand on some of them.
I found some from years ago. I wanted to go through them with you. You said once... Yeah. Okay, what do you got?
No, the first one is quite recent. It's actually about Is Now a Good Time as well. 4 of my favorite living filmmakers have seen our new short and sent love letters back. We are so lucky. So, first of all, how did you send it to them? If you can share. And if you can share, and I'm pretty sure you can't, but if you can reveal the names, then it would be amazing. Just like a curiosity thing. I will say, I texted them, or I emailed them. I'm very lucky. I am very, very lucky. The fact that I grew up watching these people's movies
that I can send uh, a copy of the film by email or text and then have them treat me like an equal and say it's really funny and want to hang out. But the usual suspects. It's Ruben Ostlund obviously is was inspired to make the film, and he and I are a bit of pen pals. So he was like, "Oh my! I cannot fucking wait for his plane movie. Every time I'm in an airport, I'm constantly thinking,
That's what I wanted to say. I can't wait to see it either.
I'm so fucking excited for the entertainment system is down." But he and I have become pen pals because I interviewed him like this on Letterboxd, and then hung out with him when he was in LA, and then he was at the Santa Barbara Film Festival doing a screenwriting thing, and my wife had her short followers there, and so we hung out. Anyway, Ruben was one of them. Who else can I name? Alfonso Cuarón, I sent it to.
Wow.
He's a buddy now, which is crazy. Children of Men and Itumama were like two of the movies that got me
Your
into
favorite
making
movies?
movies. My favorite movies, man. I'm glad that means something. You get it, but like Children of Men is like it was so crazy. The first time I hung out with him, I'd been pen pals with him for a couple of years. He loved Thunder Road, and he came over to the house, and we sat in the backyard and had vegan food for lunch, and he spent 4 hours with me and Julia and the dog just talking. And I didn't bring up Children of Men once. We talked more about Prisoner of Azkaban than we talked about my favorite movie of all time. Really got me into movies. But I sent it. I sent it to him. I sent it to David Gordon Green, who also got me into making movies. Of course, he's going to love it. He did, Eastbound and Down, Righteous Gemstones. And then I'm having dinner with the fourth one, but take a wild fucking guess as to who would like this thing. Who is the ultimate fuck Hollywood hero of Jim's? I'll give you three guesses. You're only going to need one. But I haven't actively. I only heard that he said it was amazing and that he laughed the whole time. But I'm having dinner with him on the fourth, so I'll let you know. I'll let you know what he actually thought of it.
Okay. Should I guess? Or should I guess later?
Yeah, I'm sure you know who it is. I'll say that I didn't DM him. I didn't hit him up through any social network.
Fucking Quentin?
You didn't get it after I said the social network?
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. David. Okay.
I thought I was a little bit more obvious than subtle. I'm glad that you got it finally.
I'm just
Jesus Christ.
sometimes I'm a slow thinker sometimes. So.
But yeah, Uncle Dave. It's funny we call him Uncle Dave on our sets because anytime there's like a super controlled camera move or like really great lighting, we always go, "Oh, Uncle Dave's gonna love this shot." And then now he actually has become Uncle Dave, which is so bizarre. Like now it's like, oh, I can send somebody something and he'll dig it. It's crazy. I'm very, very lucky.
Crazy, man. Okay, the
Crazy.
next one. What if I run a crowdfunding campaign every year and just make movies with the help of the public?
Yes, that is the future. That is the future. So, this is a tweet of mine. I thought you were suggesting that's a good idea. So, yes. So it takes me longer than a year to do the thing, unfortunately. I'm realizing in the edit, if it's just me cutting it, it's going to take longer to make something perfect. So every year would be a lot, but we're coming up on, almost every 2 years, and I'm able to make something that's good. So right now we're doing fundraising. I tweeted that, and then we started this fundraising campaign to do a new thing, and we've raised like 90% of the budget, 85% of the budget so far from like emails where like I would tweet being like, hey, if anybody wants to come in and finance this thing, it'll be like the WeFunder campaign that we did for the beta test, but it might just be private. And so as of now, I've had 10 investors come aboard, really wonderful people that have either invested in us in the past or have liked our stuff, our previous films, and have come on. And so we're going to shoot this thing this winter that's very good, that feels subversive, that's also fuck Hollywood, that is going to be really incredible. And PJ and I are working on it together, my co-writer and I, and we're just going to shoot it. We talked to Red Digital Cinema. They're going to come on and give us 2 cameras so that we can shoot and have it look pretty, but we don't have to pay for the cameras, which is great. Yeah, it feels like the future is now, where you can get a small team together, raise a little bit of money, and then you have a thing that you've made that then you can sell afterwards. Talking to Mark Duplass, he was on set for Julia's short. His daughter Aura acts in it. She's incredible. But we were talking about him doing his TV show, Penelope. He did 5 television series that he financed all by himself, and only one of them has to do well for all of those to get paid back. So he's like, all right, well, all I have to do is continue to follow in Mark Duplass's footsteps, which I've been doing since I was 16 years old or whatever. Like, it's funny. We're like, because corporate legacy entertainment of Hollywood is completely falling apart right now, and everybody is stuck pretending like it's not, that there's like people that are going to give you money for a screenplay, and that's just not true anymore. Like, you have to make something on your own. A computer can write a screenplay these days. These people have devalued writers and writing. Like, that, those days I worry are over. You need to be able to make something on your own, even if it's small. You will stand out. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. Crowdfunding something once a year, once every 2 years, and making it, I think, is definitely our business model. Because then I get to say, I don't have to take any meetings. I don't have to go and talk to you fucking people and get bad notes. I'm going to make something that audiences are going to like, and then if you want to be part of this thing, you got to pay for it, and then you can have it. But I'm going to have final cut, and it's going to be good. So, like, I don't know. That's kind of our business model moving forward, is just using the internet, a real social network instead of a Hollywood social network, to bring in people to then make something. Uncle Dave approves.
You've got this tweet with the graphic of of one person standing in front of like a huge crowd, and he says, "Yes, you all are wrong." And your tweet says, "What film do you defend like this?" So, what's the one for you?
The Beach, the Danny Boyle, Leonardo DiCaprio film. The Beach. It has a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was panned when it came out. People hated it. It's fucking great. Danny Boyle doing weird shit. There's a movie that he was trying to do with Alex Garland for years with Ewan McGregor, and then Leonardo DiCaprio became the biggest movie star ever and said, yeah, I want to do The Beach with you guys. Ewan McGregor and he split up for many years because he wasn't cast in that part. They've been working on it for years together, and then he was like, hey, the big handsome movie star wants to do this thing where he's not a pretty boy anymore. Not to say that Jack is a pretty boy in Titanic, but they did the Beach gets graphic. Fucking Tilda Swinton. It is a dope fucking movie about male toxic masculinity and like commune culture and this oasis and marijuana. And it was like, I saw it the first time I was probably like 14, and I was like, this is such a fucking beautiful, like, summertime romance, jumping in the ocean, skinny dipping, great music. And then it's like becomes this ugly, wild thing of why utopia can't exist. And it's profound. I love that movie so much. And then people hated it because it wasn't Titanic, because it wasn't as big and cool as Titanic. People were like, fuck this movie. And it has a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's unacceptable.
Rough.
Imagine working on something for years, and then you get the biggest movie star, and you do something that is 10 years before its time. Alex Garland became this like incredible writer about humanity and ugliness, and then people fucking hated it because it's not Titanic. It's the worst thing to happen to that man. I mean, he's fine now. He's an Oscar winner, but I love that movie.
Copy that. Now there is like a one sentence that is like a common thread between multiple tweets on your account. The sentence is, "The cavalry isn't coming." So can you expand on that?
Yeah, so that's me stealing a line from Mark Duplass's keynote speech at South by Southwest. It's a very famous line of his where he's talking about making independent film like it is horseback warfare. There's this idea that the cavalry is going to come on horses and come and protect you, and you'll be fine and you'll be able to win this battle. And to hear the phrase "the cavalry isn't coming" means you are on your own here. Yep. Like there is no cavalry. The cavalry is fucking imaginary. And so often, even in my life, I wake up, this is terrible, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I have spent the last 5 years of my life still doing the thing, imagining that the cavalry is going to come, having made 3 big films
With your horror feature film?
with everything. We pitched my comedy journalism film that we had big stars attached to. Simon Pegg and Paul Walter Hauser, good buddies, good supporters. They wanted to do this journalism thing. Tried to pitch it. Everybody got kicked in the dick every single time we tried to do this thing. Nobody wanted to buy it at the time. It's a fucking masterpiece. It is a comedy masterpiece, like Sideways. It's very, very good. Dustin Hahn and PJ McCabe co-wrote that one. It's wonderful. We went out trying to adapt a book with a big company. Nobody bought that. We pitched our Exorcist thriller that's beautiful that I would really love to do. It's in the same vein as Thunder Road, but it's an Exorcist film. Nobody wanted to do that so far. All of this is still so far, but literally, like, every possible chance to get something going has fallen apart. So now I'm going back to the internet and doing something big on our own. So, like, that idea that the cavalry isn't coming, even I forget. Like, and I'm a guy who says it all the time. It's so seductive. It's such a seductive daydream that it can derail you from actually doing something for 5 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, at this point in my career, I don't know if I can keep doing that. There's a good line in AA where they say, I know I have another party in me. I don't know if I have another recovery. And it's the same thing of, like, I can I know I can fall off the wagon and have a big party and it'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if I can go through the hard work of getting back onto the wagon again, you know?
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, you're right. We all hope that, like, I don't know, I get into Sundance like you did, and the door will open, right? Like, people will want, like, to have a real conversation and to make stuff with you. But reality is those are exceptions rather than rules.
I also think I'm a bad influence. You shouldn't be basing your career off of mine. I was incredibly lucky.
I think so. You're right.
I understand that. Like, I looked up to Damien Chazelle when I was in film school. Everybody was pushing Lena Dunham and Damien Chazelle because they were the young kids who, like, got lucky and made stuff. But, like, those doors have shut, and, like, there are people that I know who just turned down jobs to be cast members of SNL because their TikTok is doing so well. Like, it is a different marketplace now than it was when we were growing up. So, like, and it's always changing. What is consistent is you have to find a way to make your stuff valuable. And you do that by focusing on craftsmanship and by finding an audience. Looking at something like Lights Out, that horror short film that
Very good one.
put it up on Facebook, and then that became a franchise. Like, that is, I think, the future of film.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Okay, you've got this thread with 10 suggestions for short filmmakers. The first one is the DNA of the project should be to craft a language, the language of cinema, to compel and have an impressive conversation with your audience. Can you elaborate on that?
That is the thing, I think, that impresses me in filmmaking. When you're watching Jaws, maybe a 22-year-old filmmaker, which is crazy, Spielberg, little Stevie.
Yeah.
But the way that those images are cut together are so impressive to wield an audience's attention of, like, oh, that's cool. I see what he did there. Like, whenever we're going through, the 450 shorts we get every year for the Short to Feature Lab, I'm looking for craftsmanship. The thing that makes me go, oh no, this is great, is when a filmmaker is able to seamlessly put images together and make it feel like I'm just, like, it's able to do the sleight of hand magic trick that is winning an audience's attention, whether it be through editing or sound design or cinematography. But, like, anytime I see a match cut on action that, like, sends us between locations, I'm like, oh my God, this is, like, it's so rare. It's terrible to say that, but, like, cinema is so rare in the cinema these days. Like, so anytime I'm seeing somebody doing something that is, like, impressive with the camera or sound, that is the thing that I think stands out.
Yeah, it's weird, but it feels sometimes like the system kind of, like, kills the craft sometimes.
In a million different ways.
Yeah, like, like you've got to get the coverage. Like the coverage is most important thing, right? Very often.
When I was doing The Wolf of Snow Hollow, there were times where we were getting screenplay notes in the edit, and I was like, well, this could have been fixed in the screenplay. It's almost impossible to fix and keep the thing consistent in the edit. So like
Yeah.
if somebody moves a scene around, if an executive has the bright idea to move a scene at the beginning of the film to later in the film, the joke that is set up in this that then is paid off later doesn't work anymore. So that means you have to take that joke out of this scene because now it's over here. And then this thing that's payoff is weird because it comes out of nowhere. So it's like the thing, I don't think that executives or like, studio executives understand that the movie is made and written in a way like a formula, like a mathematical formula, and that by shifting things around, it can change the craftsmanship of the movie. That's why whenever we're making a movie, we try and like keep everybody in the loop of like, hey, this is what the thing is going to be. If you have notes on it, tell me now.
Number 8 in that thread is directors' visions can sometimes be mirages.
Yeah, so ignore what I just said about craftsmanship because sometimes that could be bullshit. No, it's true. I've worked with many directors as a producer, and so I remind myself that every day that like something that I think could be meaningful or cool to me could be just absolutely boring to an audience. And I think that there's an encouragement in film school with young people that whatever they really care about is art, and they should make the thing, and that is what is going to give it value if they really care about the thing. Instead of using craftsmanship to wield the audience for them to care about the thing as well. We think that the caring is good enough, that is like, somebody's a painter, that they would paint something, and if it's in their own style and if it takes them a long time and they really care about it, that audiences are going to care. And in film, it's just not true. That isn't enough. You need to make something that is a conversation between yourself and the audience. So directors' visions, if you have a vision for something of what the thing is going to be, can sometimes be a mirage. It can be, there is no water in that well. And sometimes audiences and creative teams behind the scenes want to support a visionary filmmaker, even if there's no water there, even if it's not an oasis. And that can sometimes be derailing. Even for me, there's been plenty of times I think, I'll think something is going to be good, and then it's a blind alley and it doesn't work. And I've dragged everybody up the hill to get the shot and it looks stupid. And I'm like, all right, well, forget it. We'll cut it. Everybody was right. Forget about it. That's normal.
Yeah, it's a hard balance. When I was showing my short film to a few people, for example, Simon Smith, the editor of The Last of Us, Chernobyl.
I love Chernobyl. Chernobyl is so good.
And like he gave me a few notes, but like eventually, like, his advice is still like you need to feel that it's your film. Like you can't make changes that might satisfy other people if it makes it feel like it's not your film anymore. So it's a hard balance, I guess, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I think I'm very lucky because like I make very crowd pleasing stuff. So like you can tell when the joke is working. Like I make comedy. And so like when I write a joke and it ends up in the movie and it's working, no studio executive is going to be like, no, we got to cut that bit. That's too funny or whatever. So it's like, I feel very lucky that my voice, the other thing is I act in a lot of stuff. So like, I'm literally in the movie, and like, that's the thing. I think like me being an actor has changed the power dynamic of my productions, because if I don't like the note, the actor isn't going to say it. Like if the director, me, doesn't like the thing, the actor isn't going to say it. So it's like, I kind of have the reins there. I must be so difficult to work with.
Really?
But really, to maintain your ownership of the film, it is constantly a fight to make sure that the movie doesn't suck. And because at the end of the day, if you're the director and the writer, you get all of the negative credit. David Fincher said that about, he was in BTS EPK for Gone Girl, and he says, if the movie is bad, I'll get more credit than I deserve, and if the movie is good, I'll get more credit than I deserve. And it's true, where it's like, if a studio executive who is only there for a year working at this place gives a bad note, they're not named in the Letterboxd review. you are, and you're the one who ends up having the identity crisis. Or it's like, oh, this is a really shitty part of this movie that I don't like. It's Alien 3, man. This guy, I'm telling you, David went through all of this shit. Like, we are so lucky that he has survived all of that and is open and honest and can talk about it. Because, like, anytime I'm feeling bad about Hollywood, I look up a video of Uncle Dave talking, and he's got something profound to say on the subject.
Good one, good one. Talking about the last stop to Yuma County, can you name something that you've learned on that set? Because it's quite different for you to act in a feature not directed by you.
Humility is something I learned. Diplomacy. I felt very lucky to work with Francis, who is an equally, if not more, forensic filmmaker than me. So when he brought the script to me, I read it and I was like, this could go one or two ways. This could be very austere. This could be like No Country for Old Men. I was like, but I think it's funny. I think it could be funny. And then Francis came over and we talked about South Park for like 4 hours. And I was like, this is going to be a funny movie.
Yeah.
And then he cast, obviously, he's not casting Bruce Willis to play the knife salesman. He's casting me. So it's like, of course it's going to be funny. But then everybody else was a seasoned actor. Barbara Crampton, Richard Brake, Jocelyn Donahue, fucking Nicholas Logan, Faison Love. Everybody was on it. And so like that brought a level of nervousness for me as a pretend actor to be like, oh, I have to actually do well in this thing. So really, I learned a lot about how to act as just a member of a cast, like a theatrical thing. Whereas normally I would not have been brought into that fold as the director and actor in my previous stuff, because I'm so busy focusing on making tomorrow happen as the director that I'd never really get to hang out and talk turkey about stuff. So I really enjoyed being an actor alone. And then working with Francis, there were times where, it's like we're on set, we're doing this thing, and then somebody says, is that eye line right? Is the 180 line working there? And I would go, yep, that's right. And then I would go, shut the fuck up, Jim. Why do you, you're not the director. You're just the actor in this thing. And so for 2 days, the first 2 days of production, I had to keep going up to Francis and putting my head on his shoulder and squeezing him and going, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. And he goes, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But I had to learn the lesson of shutting the fuck up and just being a member of the cast, because all of my films have required so much of me being an AD, of me being
multiple hats,
so many hats. And then, I learned about the simplicity of lighting. Like Mac Fiskin, the cinematographer, shot Last Stop in Yuma County and then shot my 2 new shorts. And I'm hanging out with him. We're going to the Red Studios to check out the new Red cameras, and he's going to shoot our new thing. I really loved these super high quality, high power LEDs. Like the fact that they can plug into a wall. You don't need a generator. It is amplifying and raising the ceiling of what is possible with filmmaking. Last Stop in Yuma County looks like it's a big movie. It was a small movie, man. It was made with duct tape and friends and family, and you would never know watching it because of the craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can believe that. You've mentioned multiple hats, so I have to ask, if you as a producer and you as a director and you as an actor and you as an editor got into a fight, who would win?
Oh man, I'd like to think it was me as an editor. I really respect the craft of editing. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm editing Julia's short right now, but editing is directing in many ways. This, but that is the last stop before it goes to the audience. And it is the amount of work that I'm doing in storytelling just to carve out an actor in a mat on one side of the frame so that they come in later, so that the eye line works when the audience is looking from one side of frame to the other, so that when the next shot appears, their eyes are in the right spot. All of that is craftsmanship.
And Noel will never know.
No one will ever know. It's great. It's magic. It's great. It's great. I love editing. I'm so glad that Soderbergh does it. I'm so glad that Ruben Östlund does it. I'm so glad that Bong Joon-ho does it. It's Hitchcock. You watch early Hitchcock, man. It's it's already cut before he shows up on set. It's he knows what the edit is going to be and how the audience is going to be riding the roller coaster. I am so glad that I learned how to edit, that we learned how to edit video. It's such a level up as a director.
Walter Murch is actually writing a new book. I'm not sure if you.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's gonna be about a little bit broader than in the blink of an eye. Blink of an eye is more like, essays, stuff like that. This one will be like much broader and about filmmaking in general, like sound design, a lot of things, even casting, I think, acting, a lot of things that he and on his perspective, and his mind is works differently. So I always love to hear his perspective. And yeah, I think that like one of the things he said, I will be paraphrasing obviously because I can't remember it word by word, but is that like editing actually like is what made film. Like without editing, we wouldn't this medium of film wouldn't survive. Editing is like the foundation of filmmaking. Like nothing exists without it.
I agree. I mean, like looking. I mean, otherwise it's just photography. Like even if it's moving images, like the Eisensteinian editing is everything. Like that fucking scientific, study, that experiment of showing a dude looking hungry, and you cut to food, the audience goes, "Oh, he's hungry." But if you cut to a naked woman, you go, "Oh, he's horny." It changes everything. It's like that is the simplest cut possible is the craftsmanship, and that is storytelling. It's something that we discovered as an art form, but like it is wild to think about that it's only like 100 years old, little over 100 years old, but it is so part of our brains that was built in. It's like a discovery of tapping something that was already there. It's wild. Editing is everything, man.
The title of Walter Murch's book will be Suddenly Something
Clicked, and it comes from an article that Maxim Gorky wrote in 1896. He was a 27-year-old newspaper reporter in Nizhny Novgorod, his hometown, a city that eventually was renamed after him, Gorky. Gorky Park, we all know. But then when the Soviet Union collapsed, it went back to Nizhny Novgorod. Anyway, he was a young reporter. He went to see motion pictures for the first time. The Lumiere brothers came to town, and the only venue that would accept them was the local brothel. And so they cleared out the central salon and hung a bedsheet at one end and the cinematograph at the other. Gorky was in the audience. All of Nizhny was there to see this miracle. The light turned on. He saw a still image of a street scene, and he wrote, "I've seen this before." But then it started to move, and he was instantly depressed because he fell into what we now would call the uncanny valley. That motion made it lifelike, but there was no color and there was no sound. And it looked to him like a parade of ghosts. And he eloquently described his feelings and described what he was looking at. And then he wrote, "Suddenly something clicked, and the street scene disappeared, and there was suddenly a train rushing at the camera." It's the famous Arrival at La Ciotat. And he made the usual jokes about, "Get out of the way, it will come off the screen and crush you." But what he heard was the splice between one shot and another, because in those days, the thickness of the film at a splice was double. And so in the projector, it made a click, clack. And it's the first time in recorded history that anyone, let alone a great writer like Gorky, would comment upon the cut from one shot to another.
The first edit, noticing the tape that holds the film together. That's funny.
Okay, man, can you tell me about the series? You've mentioned the series. I'm always also curious about your Victorian horror film, if it's happening or if it's closer to getting done. So tell me about what's going on your end.
It's not closer to getting done. The Victorian horror film is called The Current, and it's very good. It's one of the best things I'll ever write. It's beautiful. It is everything. It feels like The Wind in the Willows and also a horror film. It's very, very good. and I've sent it to Steve Coogan. He loves it. He wants to play the lead. I want him to play the lead. He's a comic hero of mine. I think I've read everything he's ever written, and so that was really neat to sit with him a couple times and talk about this thing. And he's like, "I love it. Let's find a way to do it." I've sent it to a couple of people. I sent it to Alfonso. I would love for him to, possibly come on to help out his production company. I had a meeting with them the other day. I love them. I think they'd be a good fit. But right now, I'm so busy doing the stuff that I can do on my own. And the technology is only getting better where, I saw something yesterday that there's a one-click plugin to go from Blender to Unreal Engine, which has been like a huge problem for many filmmakers in the past. But, with a software update, we could make something in Blender and then throw it into Unreal Engine and shoot portions of the film on a volume stage. So like, it's only going to be easier 5 years from now for us to be able to make something that would normally be a $20 million Victorian film for not much. So that's cooking, but is not ready to serve yet. And then with the series, we're doing a 5-episode series that we might also cut together as a feature film that's very good, that is about a screener leaking from a talent agency. So it's about an independent film and a filmmaker who brings her film into the screening room, and a few agents have twisted the arm of the projectionist to get a QuickTime file of the film. And then through a series of unfortunate events and negligence, it leaks to the internet. And there's a forensic watermark on one frame that the editor put on that says it was in this screening room during this screening. And so then they have a lawsuit that they can, and so she sues, and then they have to prosecute it as an organized crime syndicate because everybody knew that this thing was happening. And so the case gets prosecuted like an organized crime. It's very funny and very serious and very cool. And so we're shooting it this winter. We've done years of research like we always do. It'll be good, and I'll act in it and bring some friends in to play the other parts, and it's all going to be financed through friends and the internet.
Man, sounds so good.
It's fun. It's another one of those things where people be like, I cannot believe they did that. But I think in the same way, that's our job. Our job as independent filmmakers is to make stuff that Hollywood can't. It's the only way we're able to stay afloat, and it's going to be very good. I'm like very, very excited about it. It's going to feel like Shattered Glass, the movie, or like The Social Network or Zodiac. It's going to be this kind of investigative True Detective season 1 as a comedy. And it's going to be really slick. I think it's going to be really cool. I mean, like, I know I wrote it and I'm directing it, but like, I think it's actually going to be something that changes the landscape of Hollywood. I don't think that they're going to be able to continue to do it after our thing is done.
Amazing, man. I have to ask, is this like Dragon Ball t-shirt that you wear?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. There you go. And then I also got, this is like an indigo, this is like an indigo kendo gi that I got for like Japanese sword fighting. And then I got matching pants made as well. I don't know if you can see these, but I'm like, it's so ridiculous. I'm in my like Toshiro Mifune stage of life. This is my final form.
Final form,
being comfortable. Final
wow,
form, being
that's
comfortable.
not even close to your final form, Jim.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Orson Welles by my final form. I'm gonna be fucking eating myself to death. Yeah.
Okay, final 2. The first one. What 3 films you could watch over and over again? 3.
I really like Jaws. I think Jaws is a good one just because it's like Norman Rockwell's America and caricature, and then it becomes Treasure Island. The like sense of adventure and threat. I love that movie. That's a really good one. I can watch that one over and over again. Man, that's tough. Zodiac I can watch over and over and over again. Zodiac is a real living masterpiece. It's another one that I could watch over and over again. The Beach. The Beach is really good. I hate to say it. Y tu amo también. I'm looking at the poster right now. It's great, and it's like, but it's like The Beach is such Yeah, like an adventure movie. I think before I die, I'd like to do like a summertime kind of adventure movie. Because I don't know, it speaks to this kind of spirit of maybe it's just boys, but like the spirit of like wanting to go out and kiss a girl on a pretty island and swimming. Like I don't know. I think that is a movie that I saw when I was young. I was in that age, so I was susceptible. So I feel like those three are pretty good. Which is funny, they're not in my top four on Letterboxd. You know, Seven Samurai is fucking great. Triangle of Sadness is great. But like when it comes to movies I could watch over and over again, they should be fun. So yeah, I think those three.
Yeah, I get that. I feel that those are different. Yeah, different category in a way. Okay, and one tweet, the last tweet that I want to mention, you tweeted in July, I'm trying to make more educational videos for my channels. Is that happening? Are you doing that?
Yeah, I'm at least writing a series called Jim Cummings Breaks Down, where it would be me breaking down different stuff like writing or optics or editing or something. I'm realizing that because of the pandemic, the education that I got in school of like looking over someone's shoulder as to like how to, do a shortcut in Premiere or to edit something, kids didn't get because
Mhm.
we weren't allowed to be next to each other. So there's a whole generation of young people that do not have that kind of near peer educational stuff. So I was like, I should do something. I'm writing something right now about writing, about what is good writing, and it's also very funny. Like it would basically culminate in like every episode would be me having a breakdown about something. So like it wouldn't necessarily be just educational. It would be a way for me to be like, and this is why this is broken and it's fucking stupid. And like, so I think it'll be educational. I think the goal would be to make something that is like equally very educational and then also like a non sequitur insane bullshit so that people could get an education while watching, like John Oliver or something like that, where it's like a comedy about a very serious subject where you can learn something, but then also have it be funny or impressive. That's the goal.
Thank you, Jim. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, thanks, dude. It's always a gift and a pleasure talking to you, man.